Imagine the quiet, unassuming neighbor down the street. Kind, perhaps eccentric, intellectual you'd never suspect. Now picture that same person, living a life of profound secrets where the comfort of a home transforms into a scene from your deepest nightmares. This isn't just a dark story, it's the chilling, true account of Anatoly Moskvin, a man whose brilliant mind harbored an unspeakable obsession. He built a private world, blurring the lines between life and death, involving the remains of dozens of young women and girls he horrifyingly called his dolls. It's a case that forces us to confront a terrifying truth: how easily the most disturbing realities can exist right beneath our noses, hidden by layers of delusion. In the seemingly tranquil Russian city of Nizhny Novgorod, a respected historian was meticulously carrying out acts that would utterly shock the world and shatter the fragile peace of grieving families. For years, he operated undetected, his macabre collection growing, shrouded by his own distorted reality and the innocent trust of those closest to him. What could possibly drive an educated man to desecrate graves, steal bodies, and transform them into his grotesque children? And how did such a truly horrifying secret remain buried for so incredibly long? Anatoly Moskvin was, from the outside, a remarkable individual. Born in 1966, he possessed an incredible intellect, a true academic. He held a PhD in Celtic studies, specializing in linguistics and history, and was celebrated for his vast knowledge of local folklore, historical sites, and especially the quiet, somber beauty of cemeteries. He was a polyglot, fluent in 13 languages, a published author, and a respected figure who often lectured on his historical research. In local circles, he was known, perhaps endearingly, as the necropolist, the expert of the dead. He was a familiar, if somewhat peculiar sight, often seen walking through ancient graveyards, deep in thought, taking notes, or meticulously cataloging old tombstones. His seemingly benign passion for history provided the perfect camouflage. Moskvin's personal life was largely reclusive. He never married, and for most of his adult years, he shared a modest apartment with his elderly parents, Elvira and Anatoly Sr. His parents would often leave for their summer home for months, leaving their son alone in the apartment. It was during these prolonged periods of solitude that Moskvin fully indulged his increasingly disturbing obsession. His parents, heartbreakingly, believed their son was merely a quirky collector of oversized homemade dolls. They were utterly oblivious that their shared home contained a chilling display of desecrated human remains. Anatoly himself maintained a quiet, reserved demeanor, giving absolutely no outward hint of the terrifying world he had meticulously constructed within those very walls. His public image as a brilliant, if eccentric scholar was the perfect shield for his darkest secrets. The horrifying truth about Anatoly Moskvin finally came to light on November 2, 2011. Police in Nizhny Novgorod had been tirelessly investigating a disturbing string of grave desecrations in local cemeteries, with a particular focus on the resting places of young girls. Their relentless investigation led them, almost unbelievably, to the unassuming apartment of Anatoly Moskvin. The moment they stepped inside, they were confronted with a scene that defied all comprehension, a sight that would haunt them forever. Moskvin's small, cluttered apartment was filled wall to wall with what he calmly, almost proudly, referred to as his dolls. But these were no ordinary dolls. Scattered throughout the rooms, some sitting primly at a table, others seemingly watching television, were the mummified remains of between 26 and 29 women and young girls. Their ages ranged from as heartbreakingly young as 3 years old to around 29. Each body had been carefully exhumed by Moskvin from local cemeteries, some taken just days after burial, others after years. His process was terrifyingly meticulous and incredibly chilling. After exhuming a body, he would painstakingly mummify it himself, using a strange paste of baking soda and salt. Once dried, he would stuff the hollowed-out remains with rags to give them a fuller, more lifelike form. Then, he would lovingly dress them in children's clothing, often the very garments taken from their own graves. He placed wax masks over their faces, artfully painted with nail polish to create a chilling semblance of life. In a particularly macabre touch, some of these dolls even had music boxes inserted into their chests, designed to play a tune when their arms were raised as if coming to life. He also meticulously collected grave ornaments, headstones, and nameplates from the violated graves, proudly displaying them in his apartment, sometimes even labeling the bodies with their original names and dates of death. Moskvin gave each of his dolls a name, arranging them in various domestic poses, sitting at a table, watching TV, even hosting surreal tea parties and birthday celebrations. He treated them with a bizarre, profound paternal affection, talking to them and celebrating holidays with them. To him, the apartment wasn't just a home. It was a macabre nursery, a sanctuary for his daughters, hidden behind the unremarkable facade of a scholar's residence. When confronted with his ghastly collection, Anatoly Moskvin offered explanations that were as disturbing as his actions, painting a picture of profound psychological delusion. He chillingly claimed he had been engaged in these activities for nearly 2 decades, beginning his grave desecrations in the early 1990s. His obsession, he recounted to investigators, stemmed from a deeply traumatic childhood incident. At the tender age of 12, he was allegedly forced by attendees at a funeral to kiss the cold, lifeless face of an 11-year-old girl. This single, jarring experience, he claimed, irrevocably warped his perception of death and the deceased. From that moment, he began to believe that dead children were calling out to him, that they were lonely in their graves and desperately wanted to be rescued. Moskvin stated that his ultimate twisted goal was to bring these deceased individuals back to life. He saw himself as a benevolent rescuer, a scientist, or perhaps even a magician, convinced he could use his vast knowledge in the mummification process to revive them. He reportedly researched various methods for resurrection, clinging to the belief that if he could only preserve the bodies perfectly, he might eventually discover the elusive key to reanimating them. He referred to his dolls as his girls or daughters, expressing a profound, if utterly twisted, paternal affection. He even admitted to having attempted to adopt a real child, a young girl, but his application was thankfully rejected due to his insufficient income and peculiar lifestyle. This thwarted desire for a living daughter, it seems, agonizingly fueled his horrifying alternative. Crucially, and perhaps most bafflingly, Moskvin vehemently denied any sexual motive for his actions. He insisted that his relationship with the mummified bodies was purely paternal, based on a profoundly distorted sense of compassion and a desperate desire to give them a second chance at life within his home. His actions, in his profoundly deluded mind, were not desecration, but an act of love, rescue, and even scientific experimentation. Anatoly Moskvin's arrest on November 2, 2011, sent shockwaves not only through Russia but across the entire world. The revelation of his gruesome collection horrified the public, especially the families of the victims whose graves he had violated. Police investigation was swift and thorough, painstakingly confirming the identities of many of the desecrated bodies. This discovery brought unimaginable, fresh waves of grief to relatives who suddenly learned that their loved ones' final resting places had been disturbed in such a monstrous way. Given the utterly bizarre and depraved nature of his crimes, Moskvin immediately underwent extensive psychiatric evaluation. His defense lawyers argued that his mental state rendered him unfit to stand trial, a crucial legal distinction. The medical findings were conclusive. Moskvin was diagnosed with schizophrenia, a severe mental disorder characterized by profoundly distorted perceptions of reality. Court accepted this psychiatric assessment, ruling that he was not criminally responsible for his actions due to the overwhelming influence of his illness. Consequently, Anatoly Moskvin was not sent to a conventional prison. Instead, he was ordered to undergo compulsory psychiatric treatment in a secure facility. Since 2012, he has been held in a psychiatric hospital, where his condition is subject to periodic reviews by medical professionals. Each review presents a complex moral and legal dilemma. Is he genuinely cured or stable enough for release? Or does he still pose a danger, driven by the same profound underlying delusions? Courts have consistently ruled against his release, citing ongoing evidence of his severe delusional beliefs and the undeniable potential for him to reoffend. His elderly parents, who initially expressed love and concern for their son, have also been caught in the tragic aftermath, grappling with the monstrous secret he kept from them for so long. The Anatoly Moskvin case remains one of the most disturbing and uniquely chilling criminal cases in modern memory. Its impact was profound, particularly for the dozens of families who had their grief reopened in the most horrific way imaginable. To discover that the cherished remains of a loved one, especially a child, had been stolen, desecrated, and then used in such a depraved personal display is a trauma that no family should ever endure. The case also sparked widespread discussion about the critical importance of recognizing and responding to severe mental illness, and the unsettling question of how individuals like Moskvin can operate undetected for so long, even while living in close proximity to others. His sheer intelligence and quiet demeanor undoubtedly allowed him to blend seamlessly into society, while his meticulous planning and execution of his crimes demonstrated a chilling capability for organization despite his fractured reality. The horror of Anatoly Moskvin is not one of typical violence or malice, but a deeply unsettling violation born from a mind consumed by a profound delusion and a profoundly perverse sense of compassion. His dolls were not trophies of conquest, but distorted, heartbreaking manifestations of a desire for connection and a desperate, misguided attempt to defy the finality of death. What truly makes a scholar, a linguist, a seemingly ordinary man descend into such a terrifying, private world? The Anatoly Moskvin case serves as a chilling, unsettling reminder of the dark, unfathomable depths to which the human psyche can plunge, leaving behind only questions and an enduring sense of profound unease. And so, the terrifying narrative of Anatoly Moskvin comes to a close, yet its chilling questions linger. How could a man of such intellect, a scholar revered for his knowledge of the dead, become the very desecrator of their peace? His case forces us to confront the unsettling fragility of the human mind, reminding us that the most profound horrors can sometimes bloom unseen, cultivated in the quiet corners of profound delusion. The dolls in Moskvin's apartment were not mere objects. They were the stolen remains of daughters, sisters, and friends, whose families endured an unimaginable second wave of grief. Their silent presence in his macabre nursery speaks volumes about the depths of his fractured reality and the tragic consequences of his illness. The story of Anatoly Moskvin serves as a stark reminder. It's a testament to the fact that not all monsters are found in the shadows of violence. Some are born from a twisted sense of love, a desire for connection, or a desperate attempt to defy the natural order of life and death. His case stands as a unique and unsettling chapter in true crime, a chilling exploration into the mind of a man whose brilliance and madness intertwine to create a horror that continues to defy comprehension. The silence of those mummified figures, now returned to their rightful rest, carries a somber echo, a haunting question about what truly lies beneath the surface of the human psyche. If you found this chilling journey into the human mind as unsettling as we did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the world's most perplexing mysteries. What other bizarre cases do you think we should explore next? Let us know in the comments below.